Now the Sheikh wants to mention the makana, the position of women before Islam, because if you understand the position that women were before Islam, and in reality, what we are going to read now in reality is the same position that the kuffar has put their women, the same position that the kuffar has put their women in reality. So this is the position of women before Islam. But when Islam came, Islam abolished this barbaric and this wicked acts towards women and put her in a position of honor. But let's read what women were seen as before Islam. The Sheikh said, وَيُرَادُ بِمَا قَبْلَ الْإِسْلَامِ عَصْرُ الْجَاهِلِيَّةِ الَّتِي كَانَ يَعِيشُهَا الْعَرَبُ بِصِفَةٍ خَاصَّةٍ وَيَعِيشُهَا أَهْلُ الْأَرْضِ بصفة عامة حيث كان الناس في فترة من الرسل ودروس من السبل. The Sheikh mentioned that what we intend by before Islam, what we intend by that is the time of the Jahiliyyah, the time of Jahiliyyah that the Arabs were living specifically, and that the one that the people on the earth were living generally, whereby there were no prophets, because between Isa and our Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we have 600 years. So imagine no prophets for 600 years, 6 generations. So people have forgotten many things as regards how to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and shaitan has overcome people as a den, such that وَقَدْ نَظَرَ اللَّهُ إِلَيْهِمْ كَمَا جَاءَ فِي الْحَدِيثِ فَمَقَتَهُمْ عَرَبَهُمْ وَعَجَمَهُمْ إِلَّا بَقَايَ مِنْ أَهْلِ الْكِتَابِ, such that Allah looked at those upon the earth and he hated them, the Arabs and the non-Arabs, except a few remnants of Ahl Kitab. So which means that the earth was upon darkness, 600 years, no prophet, no messenger. The earth was upon darkness, and Allah looked at the people upon the earth and he hated them, the Arabs and the non-Arabs, except a few remnants from the Ahlul Kitab, as you can see in the particular hadith. The Sheikh now said, وَكَانَتِ الْمَرْأَةُ فِي هَذَا الْوَقْتِ فِي الْأَغْلَبِ الْأَعَامِ تَعِيشُ فَتْرَةً عَصِيبَةً خُصُوصًا فِي الْمُجْتَمِعِ الْعَرَبِي. The Sheikh mentioned that this particular period, women mostly, may not be completely, but mostly women were living in a critical era, specifically amongst the Arabs. حَيْثُ كَانُوا يَكْرَهُونَ وِلَادَتَهَا, because the Arabs, they hated that they should give birth to women. They did not like the woman's child. As long as she's a woman, they don't like her. So that is what brings about وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ. Maw'uda, the female child that was buried alive. It was from the culture of the Arabs that they bury their female children alive. Why? Because they hated her. They did not want a woman to be from their children. The Sheikh said, فَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ كَانَ يَدْفَنُهَا وَهِيَ حَيَّةٌ حَتَّى تَمُوتَ تَحْتَ التُّرَابِ. The Sheikh said, we have some of them from the women, or from the Arabs, that they would bury their woman or their female child alive until she dies under the soil. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ يَتْرُكُهَا تَبْقَى فِي حَيَاةِ الذُّلِّ وَالْمَهَانَةِ. Some of them would abandon the woman so that she would live a debased life and a life of disgrace. كما قال تعالى, just like Allah said in the Quran, in Surah Al-Isra, Surah Al-Nahl, Afwan. وَإِذَا بُشِّرَ أَحَدُهُمْ بِالْأُنْثَى. If one of them is being told that he has a child, a female child, ظَلَّ وَجْهُهُ مُسْوَدًّا, his face will become blackened out of sorrow. وَهُوَ كَظِيمٌ, and is sorrowful. That was how evil they saw women to be. يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ مِنْ سُوءِ مَا بُشِّرَ بِهِ. He will be hiding from people because he has been told something bad. To him, he has been told something bad. يَتَوَارَى مِنَ الْقَوْمِ. He would run away from people because they would mock him that you give birth to woman. أَيُمْسِكُهُ عَلَى هُونٍ. So he will be thinking in his mind, should I leave her alone? But I would abandon her and she would live a life of disgrace. Am yadussuhu fi turab, or should I bury her in under the soil and the sand? So they had these two options within them. Either I abandon her and I allow her to live a hard life, or I bury her alive. Allah said, "Ala sa'a ma yahkumun." Allah said, how evil is what they ruled with. That is, their ruling as regards the woman in Jahiliyyah is a bad one. So this is just an example of how women were seen in Jahiliyyah. The Sheikh said, وَقَالَ تَعَالَى, Allah in the Quran, وَإِذَا الْمَوْءُودَةُ سُئِلَتْ, and when the the female child that was buried alive, when she's asked, بِأَيِّ ذَنْبٍ قُتِلَتْ, why exactly was she killed? So she's being asked so that the one who buried her alive would be in serious fear on that day. The Sheikh said, Al-Maw'uda, what is intended by Maw'uda? Hiya al-bintu tudfanu hayyatan. It is that female child that was buried alive hatta tamuta tahta turab, until she dies under the sand. Wa idha salimat min al-wa'di, if that female child was saved from being buried alive, wa ashat, and she lives, فَإِنَّهَا تَعِيشُ مَعِيشَةَ الْمَهَانَةِ, she would live a life of disgrace. And in reality, if you look at some cultures in Nigeria as well, the Yoruba culture or the Igbo culture, I don't know about the Hausas though, but I know about the Yorubas and the Igbos. You would see that women are not treated with respect in these cultures. Women are also from things that have been inherited. Whereas Allah said, "La yahillu lakum an tarithu nisaa karha." Allah said that it is not permissible for you that you inherit women forcefully. But in the Yoruba culture and in the Igbo culture as well, you would see that a woman, when the husband dies and his property is to be splitted, you would see that she is from those that would be inherited. She will be given to one of the brothers in the family. Allahul Musta'an. So the woman was not respected in Jahiliyyah, and is not still respected among some Yorubas and some Igbos, to the extent that a woman is not being given inheritance at all. So women are seen as debased individuals that can be insulted, can be abused, can be assaulted, can be beaten. So this is how this culture see women, and this is how it was for the most part amongst us. The Sheikh now mentioned that وَمَهْمَا عَانَتْ مِنَ الْفَقْرِ وَالْحَاجَةِ عفوا فَلَيْسَ لَهَا حَظٌّ مِنْ مِيرَاثِ قَرِيبِهَا الله أكبر فَلَيْسَ لَهَا حَظٌّ مِنْ مِيرَاثِ قَرِيبِهَا. The woman would never inherit, just like the Yorubas and the Igbos, the woman would never inherit anything from a relative that is dead. Mahma kathrat amwalu, no matter how much the money is, they would not give women anything, because they would say that no, women, they don't fight wars, so why should we give them inheritance? Women don't fight wars, so why should we give women inheritance? So that was how they viewed women in the time of Jahiliyyah. Even with the Yorubas as well, a man would marry maybe 20 wives or 30 wives, using them as slaves in his farm. Islam came and reduced this oppression that at most don't go beyond 4. So Islam acknowledges that a man needs more than one, yes, but don't go beyond 4, because once you go beyond 4, you cannot take care of them as you should, and that will lead to oppression. Then you see some men having 20 women, 30 women. And that is why you see that mostly those women are not taken care of properly, and their children as well. And it's oppression in reality. Islam came and Islam regulated it. The Sheikh mentioned that a woman would not be given anything from inheritance, because, like I said, they viewed women as debased individuals that don't have any need for wealth. Whereas Allah said, لِلرِّجَالِ نَصِيبٌ مِمَّا تَرَكَ الوالدة والأقربون وللنساء نصيب مما ترك الوالدة والأقربون مما قل منه أو كثر نصيبا مفروضا. Allah mentioned in the Quran that men have rights to inheritance, just as how women have rights to inheritance, because in the time of Jahiliyyah, women were not given inheritance. The Sheikh now said, لأنهم يخصون الميراث بالرجال دون النساء. People of Jahiliyyah, they were saying that only men should be given inheritance and not women. بل إنها كانت تورث عن زوجها الميت كما يورث ماله. In fact, the woman was being inherited just as how his wealth is being inherited. وكان الجمع الكثير من النساء يعيشن تحت زوج واحد. In fact, it's the same thing. I can see the same thing. Just as how it was with the Arabs. You have this with the Yorubas as well. You can see what I mentioned now about the Yorubas. You can also see that the Sheikh also mentioned this amongst the Arabs as well. A woman or a man would have so many women under him. A man would have so many women under him حيث كانوا لا يتقيدون بعدد محدد من الزوجات, because people of Jahiliyyah, they did not pay attention. They did not pay attention, or they did not restrict themselves with a particular number. غير آبئين بما يناله من جراء ذلك من المضايقات والإحراجات والظلم. And they did not care what happened to women. They did not care what happened to women from oppression and difficulties. As long as they are able to marry, they would marry 20 women, 30 women, and so on. So this was the makana, this was the position of women before Islam.